Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Hellbound, a Korean television series from 2021 that was directed by Yeon Sang-ho, the man who gave us Train to Busan. More on him later. This show is 6 episodes long, with each episode being approximately 50 minutes long each. So Hellbound occurs in an alternate version of Earth, where supernatural creatures suddenly materialize to deliver prophecies that condemn specific individuals to hell. And sometime later, monstrous beings appear to maul and incinerate the person's body. And then their soul is apparently dragged back to hell. So it's a pretty cool premise. Unfortunately, this show has a lot of problems. So within the opening 5 minutes of episode 1, we get an attack sequence involving these supernatural creatures. And let me tell you, they got really lazy with the monster designs in this show. They basically look like gray-colored Hulk monsters that emanate lots of smoke. Gray smoke. So lots of gray there. They couldn't think of anything else, apparently. But in any case, they run after one specific dude at the beginning of episode 1. They beat the crap out of him, and then they suck the soul out of his body and leave like basically a rotting corpse at the end of it. Now, the monster attacks in Hellbound are not exciting at all. So if you watch the opening 5 minutes of episode 1 and you're like, oh, we're going to get a bunch of like thrilling monster attacks, you don't get that at all. All right? Most of the time, the victims just kind of sit there and they allow themselves to be killed by the monsters. And the opening scene in episode 1 is basically the best chase scene you get for the entire show. And that's not saying much. It would have been nice to to have some actual set pieces and ramp up the excitement with those, because a lot of the other aspects of the show just do not work well. In any case, the attack happens in an urban area with hundreds of witnesses. This isn't like your typical movie where, like, you know, somebody will be dragged to hell, like, in their house or in an apartment and no one else will know about it, or maybe only a few people know about it. Oh, no. Hundreds of people witnessed this attack by these supernatural monsters. They even recorded it on their cell phones and everything. So, yeah, it's not a secret. The entire world knows that this stuff is happening now. So, as a viewer, you're thinking to yourself, okay, so let's see how people react to this. And boy, oh boy, does the script writing fail miserably in this aspect. So the second scene of episode 1, we're talking like the opening 10 minutes still here. We get a police meeting. All right, now listen to this. They discuss the investigation related to this like monster attack, right? And no one reacts to this monster attack like a real-life person would react to it. So these cops really should be in total disbelief. And there should be like a sense of urgency in their actions. But instead, these cops are acting like it's just another murder case. Like, one of these dudes starts the presentation for like the rest of the cops. They're in like a conference room. And he's like, yeah, some monster showed up and killed this guy. Like, it's no big deal. Our protagonist cop shows up, half asleep, to this meeting. Fumbles around with like the coffee machine. He's like fumbling around in the back. And he acts like he's attending some like boring presentation that he has no interest in. It's like, I was like, as a viewer, I'm sitting there like, hey guys, do you want to like wake up and pay attention? Like, 3 monsters just killed someone in the middle of your city. And then to top it all off, the police chief just basically tells everyone to go out and arrest the perpetrators. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what's a cop going to do? Like, walk up to one of these huge freaking Hulk monsters, slap on some freaking handcuffs? Like, at this point in the show, I thought it was going to be a black comedy. I thought this was going to be a comedy based on how these people were reacting to this. But it's not. This show takes itself very seriously, which really kind of exposes the incomprehensibly stupid script writing. And the script writing is incomprehensibly stupid. It just keeps coming. There's no craftsmanship or attention to detail in how these characters react to what's happening. So let's take a few examples. Let's go back to our lovable police chief, right? At one point, the forensics lab comes back, and they say, hey, you know, there's some unnatural substance in the victim's corpse. And this guy just has like a hissy fit about it. Like, apparently that result was too ridiculous for him, despite the fact that monsters are running around killing people in his city. But apparently this, like something unnatural in the victim's remains, if you're really thinking about it, doesn't seem too far-fetched when you take into consideration the circumstances in which they've died. Any person with a brain in their head, this is how a person with a brain in their head would react to this. They'd be like, okay, what we saw the other day is completely crazy, and now we're finding unnatural materials in the victim's corpse. Now something significant is happening here that we've probably never witnessed before on this planet. So to the best of our ability, like, guys, you know, he's talking to his cop buddies, okay, to the best of our ability, let's try to figure out what's going on. So let's get on this. Okay, that's what an actual good character would do. The police chief in this one gets offended at the forensics lab and insinuates that they're incompetent with their findings. Like, why would anyone think this way? It's such a stupid way to write a character. And it gets worse. So listen to this example. This one's even worse. In a later episode, a woman receives like a warning from one of these supernatural entities that she's going to die in 5 days. Right? Some lawyer dude or whatever gets wind of this and immediately writes it off as being like a ridiculous thing. Why would he doubt this at this point? There are monsters running around your city killing people. Why are people reacting like this? And like, even better, this same idiot at one point argues that no television station would ever want to broadcast a possible monster attack because no one would watch. Yeah, like it's not like these events aren't the most significant thing to ever happen to humanity. It's not like anybody would want to know like what's actually happening. And this is the type of writing we get in this show. It's like, it's so detached from reality, but yet it takes itself so seriously, which makes it really freaking stupid. So, the script writing in this show is just atrocious. It's just garbage. And riddle me this, okay? No spoilers, of course, but there's zero government intervention in this show. We got monsters. I have to repeat this, because apparently the characters in this show don't really realize this, that there are monsters running around killing people in your city. And there's no government interaction at all. Like the government just doesn't exist in the world of the show. We got monsters running around killing people. We have an evil cult organization taking the law into their own hands and just running stuff. We got mass chaos, and yet the government never intervenes at any point. We never get a statement by the president. We don't get any kind of like declaration or pushback against the cult for any kind of their criminal behavior. It's just a massive missing element that really just takes away from the story. And of course, there's all kinds of plot holes and inconsistencies thrown in as well. I'd love for someone to explain to me the final attack scene of episode 6. How exactly did that happen? Can someone please explain to me why that attack went differently than every other attack in the show? I don't know. The show never bothered to explain it. And what about the final shot of the show in episode? There's a final shot. It's like a gotcha moment. No one ever bothers to explain like what's happening. Like, why are these monsters actually here killing people? So whenever the script throws like a twist at you, it just feels like an inconsistency because nothing is explained to begin with. So what are we supposed to wait like 2 years for season 2 to get any explanation at all to what's happening here? Like, a good script is going to give you some good clues to kind of give you something to think about, right? This show doesn't even do that. Now, I do watch a lot of Japanese movies and art house films, so I don't necessarily require an explanation. But this show is so badly written. Can you at least give me an idea of what the heck's happening here? And the premise has potential when you think about it. You know, some of the main themes are that, you know, cults are evil and humanity is going to react in bad ways to things they don't understand. But there's nothing like multidimensional or interesting about how it explores this premise. Its handling of like humanity and religion is painfully shallow. Painfully shallow. And all of the characters are just relentlessly boring. Every single character in this show. Wafer thin, boring to watch. And even when you start to get a taste of something interesting, like the daughter who wants revenge on her mother's killer, or the cult leader who may have a secret plan, this show addresses those elements abruptly, like in one scene, and then it throws the characters away to the sideline so they can introduce some new characters who are wafer thin and boring. So, even in episode 3, when I'm like, okay, I see a little bit of something interesting here where they can go with this, and then the show's like, nah, we're done with that. Let's throw in some new characters. Start over. I cannot believe how badly written this show is. And speaking of boring, Hellbound is 6 episodes long, as I said. There's still significant pacing issues. I mean, this has the same pacing issues as like your typical 24-episode K-drama, right? And they do the thing that some K-dramas too, where they give you like a thriller scene as the opening scene in episode 1, and when that happened, I was like, oh, yeah, we're not going to get any action for like 3 or 4 more episodes. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. They can't fool me anymore. I think the show needed more of the supernatural thriller element, or at least some kind of mythological backstory, which they don't do at all. It's really just like a really slow-paced drama. And when I say really slow, I mean really slow. It amazes me that a show can explore this premise in like the most boring ways possible. I don't know how else to explain it to you. This show kind of made me angry, as you could tell, because it takes itself so seriously, despite having just a garbage script. And it tries to it does this it tries to be deep, but it doesn't earn it. It feels pretentious. This show feels freaking pretentious. Like these guys sat down and thought they were making some type of philosophical or religious dissertation. It's not nearly as meaningful as the creators think it is. At all. Now back to the director, Yeon Sang-ho. Can we please stop talking about this guy like he's something special? Yeah, he directed Train to Busan. Great movie. That's literally the only really impressive thing this guy has ever done. Psychokinesis was a piece of crap. I never even bothered to review that movie because it was just so stupid. Hellbound, in my opinion, is basically crap. His animated films are pretty good. You know what I mean? They're pretty good. And I did enjoy Peninsula a little bit more than the average person, but I would never attempt to defend that film as anything more than just watchable trash. You know what I mean? So yes, Train to Busan is still the only legitimately impressive thing this guy has done. So next time you see a commercial or a trailer for a film or a show that says, from the director of Train to Busan, please do not get excited anymore. Okay? There's no reason to be. This guy needs to make another, legitimately solid film or TV show for me to, get back on board with this guy. Alright? So, I could go on for, 5 hours regarding all, all the problems of this show. Hellbound. I could go on for hours. I mean, despite its cool premise, the execution is just bad, man. I alternated between feeling bored and infuriated while watching this. A complete waste of my freaking time. Thank goodness this was only 6 episodes. It's available on Netflix if you want to suffer through it. Apparently, a lot of people like it. I don't know what to tell you. As always, I'll see you next time.